Good morning and welcome to the W. I'm Nicholas Colo-Batista.
And I'm Taylor Garitano.
Today, we have a special message from Kevin Julian and my co-worker, Taylor Garitano, about the safety issues geotagging possesses. Here's some tips on how to stay safe on the internet.
I'm Taylor Garitano.
And I'm Kevin Julian.
And this is the W. Many digital cameras and mobile devices come with geotagging capabilities that pinpoint your exact location when you take and post a picture on social media or on the internet.
If you have an iPhone, you may or may not know that the camera can track your current location and leak information of your whereabouts on social media. According to News Channel 19 in South Carolina, the problem with geotagging is that the information can be read by anyone. If you upload a geotagged photo to the internet, then anyone with the ability to view the photo can check the location the photo was taken.
Of course you want to share these things, but on the flip side, this can be dangerous because strangers can follow you and see your everyday routine. According to WikiHow, you need to be aware of the ability for your images to be geotagged, understand the risks involved, know when to use the geotagging feature and when not to, know how to disable your cell phone's or camera's geotagging feature.
You can turn your geotagging feature off when taking pictures, and it is much safer to turn this feature off. We have Mrs. Mary Knopp, an expert on cellular devices, here today to show us how to turn the geotagging feature off.
Just click on Settings and click on Privacy, and then Location Services, just tap on that and turn it off.
When taking photos with your mobile device, be aware that your images may be geotagged and the risks it poses, which may compromise your privacy.
We have breaking news developing here at Westlake High School. We're going to break to go live over with Emma Schultz, who's on campus now.
Breaking news. Sometime between 4 and 8 p.m. on Monday, May 16th, a murder occurred in the biology storeroom located in room 102 at Westlake High School. The victim's identity is currently unknown, as several teachers have gone missing over the weekend and have not yet been located. The police are on the scene and have released some information. The 911 call states a murder took place in the science stockroom between rooms 100 and 102, where a body was found severely beaten with multiple blows to the back and side of the head and face, leaving the victim with a broken jaw and nose. The medical examiner states that the victim appeared to also have been kicked, resulting in severe bruising, cracked ribs, and broken hand, which shows the victim tried to defend themselves. The medical examiner also shared that the preliminary toxicology report revealed no illegal drugs, but showed high caffeine content as well as over-the-counter drugs typically used to stay awake. The police indicate that the probable cause of death is blunt force trauma.
I can't believe what happened. This is so scary.
I know, I hope everything's all right. I hope everyone's safe.
Over to Nicola Batista, my co-anchor, a profile of one of Westlake High School's favorite English teachers, Mr. Iovani.
At Westlake High School, you will find some interesting characters. Teachers, that is. One of these teachers teaches with an unpredictable, high intensity. He's been teaching for 15 years, and 6 of those 15 at Westlake High School. Mr. Giovanni teaches junior English, and everyone enjoys his class. But what about Mr. Giovanni outside of school? Who was his role model growing up?
I would say my grandfather on my mother's side. He's probably had the biggest influence on me. Growing up without a father, he really took us under his wing, my brother and I, and became like a father to us.
How did he impact you on your professional career?
Just basic how to conduct yourself in life. I mean, it's how to not be an idiot all your life. There's a time to be an idiot, and there's a time when you got to grow up.
Do you know what he first wanted to be?
Well, when I was a kid, I was fascinated with dinosaurs. I thought I was going to be an archaeologist. That quickly faded when I realized that archaeologists don't spend a lot of time actually digging and looking for stuff. Most of the time is spent in an office or a library, which I happen to like doing research in the library, but at the time I didn't think that was good.
Or how he stumbled upon the path of becoming a teacher?
Teaching, I just kind of stumbled upon it. I was going to school for journalism, decided I didn't want to do that. My sister's a teacher, and I went to, she wanted me to help her when she took the kids on a field trip. I liked working with the kids, so I said, let me switch my major, and here I am.
Mr. Giovanni is always working on something. Whether it be a new piece of writing or a new chair, EO stays busy. Outside of school, what's a passion of yours?
I love doing construction. whether it's plumbing, electrical, carpentry, whatever I could do.
He's looking forward to retirement, and he has a few words about what he's going to do after he's done teaching.
I mean, I'm probably going to die here, but if I do make it out of here alive, I may end up doing something like, small stuff like fixing furniture and stuff like that.
What a great guy. We need more people like Mr. Giovanni.
We do.
Here now with Kevin Julian on more information from the murder scandal here at Westlake High School.
Kevin Julian from the W reporting here from Westlake High School. Sometime between 4 and 8 p.m. on Monday, May 16th, a murder occurred in the biology storeroom located in room 102. Police announced that based on blood type, bone analysis, and the height of the victim is Westlake High School science teacher Mr. Raymond Zerba. The W News team recently interviewed Ms. Hopkins, who provided some information on who could have done such a thing to Zerba. What in your mind makes Mr. Zerba a target for murder?
Not really sure why somebody would want to murder him. Maybe it's all the colorful outfits he wears, but I don't know. I really don't see a reason to murder him.
There is plausible evidence leading many to believe that Mr. Zerba knew he had to flee. There was a plane ticket in his name found in the lab jacket at the crime scene. According to forensic investigator Gina Calvi, there's substantial evidence pointing to the fact that Zerba might have been on the run.
So, due to the fact that there were high doses of caffeine in Mr. Zerba's bloodstream, we concluded that he was most likely trying to be aware of his surroundings and very anxious of somebody being out to get him.
You would say he might have had a need to be alert?
Yes.
Speculators claim that the high caffeine content in the victim's blood led investigators to believe that he needed to be alert. Stay tuned for further updates as the story unfolds.
We'll be right back after a brief message from our sponsors. Hey.
Hey.
What's wrong?
Which one the seniors to be gone?
Oh wait, I have Senior Be Gone.
What's senior be gone?
Come here, I'll show you. See, it works.
Senior Beyond's great. I wonder if it works on juniors. Let's try it. Thank God it didn't work.
Senior Be Gone.
It really works.
Are you worried about someone stealing your work or stealing someone else's work? Then just pay close attention to Nicole Batista, my co-anchor, and Spencer Knowles. They will tell you everything you need to know about intellectual property.
Hi, this is Nicholas Batista and Spencer Knowles from the W. Were you aware that you can protect your ideas, preventing them from being stolen? According from the World Intellectual Property Organization, intellectual property refers to creations of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, symbols, names, and images used in any commerce.
There are 3 ways to legally protect your intellectual property: with a copyright, a patent, and a trademark. According to the United States Patent and Trademark Office, the 1976 Copyright Act generally gives the owner of copyright the exclusive right to reproduce a copyrighted work. This law gives you the opportunity to protect your intellectual property.
A patent allows you the exclusive right to use and protect a new or original process, machine, article of manufacture, and almost everything you use is patented. A patent can last up for 20 years. If it isn't patented, then it's possible for any individual to mimic or even copy your work entirely.
A trademark is a sign that distinguishes one company from another. For example, it stops anyone from putting the Doritos sign on any product that wasn't endorsed by the Doritos brand.
It's up to you, the creator, to protect your product, idea, or even invention. So to protect these ideas, you must use these safety precautions, because without a copyright, patent, or trademark, your intellectual property is left unprotected.
And I'm Spencer Knowles.
And I'm Nicholas Batista, and this was the W.
Now we have received more information regarding the Zerba scandal. Here's Nick, my co-anchor, with the latest.
Breaking news update from the Raymond Zerba murder scandal here at Westlake High School. Forensics indicate from soil samples and fingerprints that 2 of the suspects are science teachers here at Westlake High School. One of them is Mr. Skylar Smith, the other is Miss Lauren Chichia. All 3 teachers are known to share a storeroom and lab coats. Here now with Joe Ferry outside of Westlake High School.
We really think Smith murdered this man because, number one, his blood type was found on the case. There was tabby cat hair found on the scene, and Mr. Smith has a tabby cat. Also, his fingerprints were found on the murder weapon, which was actually a mop.
Forensics discovered a series of emails between Zerba and Chichiri that are questionable in nature. More to follow. Smith, Chichiri, and Hopkins all do not have alibis, and they're all still under investigation. In an interview with an FBI agent who asked to remain anonymous, he had a few statements among the lead suspect, Sky Smith. Along with footprints, fingerprints, and all evidence on Mr. Smith, he was the only suspect that was still in the building at the time of the murder. Stay tuned for further information here at Westlake High School on the Raymond Zerba murder scandal. We'll be right back after a brief message from our sponsors.
Hey, are you tired? Well, you need energy. Try Shock Energy Drink. Its mission is to use the best of the best ingredients to give you a shock of energy in every can. Get Shock Energy when you don't have the energy to move throughout your day. Buy it at your local supermarket or order it online at www.shockenergy.com.
Shock Energy!
Here's Emma Schultz with a profile of Mr. Phil Catrone, Westlake's high school librarian and the advisor of Westlake players.
Hi, I'm Emma Schultz. I'm from W. I'm here to interview you about your love for theater.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So what inspired you to do theater?
Well, let me see. I think as a child, I participated in school plays in elementary school, and that was always kind of fun. It was, but when I got to high school, the director here at Westlake was a man named Dr. Rossi. And he was very charismatic and very exciting, and he talked me into doing my first play here as a freshman, and I was hooked ever since.
What was your first show?
It was called Out of the Frying Pan. I had the good fortune to direct it twice here subsequently from after being in it.
Awesome. Mr. Catrone is impressed with Jason Daniely and Maren Maisie. They're a married couple, and he's in Chicago on Broadway, and she's Anna in The King and I. He states that they're very talented people, and he is impressed by both of them. When he got older, he participated in more shows outside of school. One of his most recent productions was The Little Mermaid at the White Plains Performing Arts Center, which he played the role of Grimsey the butler. Catrone also directs the shows here at Westlake High School, the fall drama and the spring musical. His most recent production was the spring musical Grease, which had 5 sold-out performances.
I love working with the high school kids because there's really an opportunity for me to teach them something, and there's learning that goes on. It's not just memorizing lines and walking through blocking. They really learn things about theater and characters and interacting. As far as inspiring them, I think just being honest and heartfelt when you talk to them. And if it comes from the heart and soul, they can only be inspired.
All of us, like, he treats us like his own, and that really helps because if you make a mistake, he's like, okay, like, we'll fix it. He's not like, you need to get it together, like you said.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years or so? Do you still see yourself in theater?
I would hope so. I hope so. That's what, in 10, within the next 10 years, I'll have retired from teaching, and my goal is to pursue acting. I would like to get cast and do some things without the responsibility of coming to work at a school. I'll be able to do tours and stuff, and I'm really looking forward to doing something like that. I think it'd be very exciting.
There is a violence on the rise at Trump rallies, and Spencer Knowles is here to tell us all about it.
Hi, I'm Spencer Knowles, and this is W. Since the beginning of his presidential campaign, Trump has been an extremely controversial candidate, with both his personality and his political tactics on running the country. Lately, Trump's followers have violently attacked protesters. This is because of the aggressive words he uses while campaigning.
You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Knock the crap out of him, would you? Seriously. I will pay for the legal fees, I promise.
While he promotes violence, he also says that he does not.
Do you believe that you've done anything to create a tone where this kind of violence would be encouraged?
I hope not. I truly hope not.
Which is odd because you think he'd be proud of the atmosphere he's created, but he constantly denies that what he says promotes violence when these words are so aggressive in nature. But why is he so popular among voters today? Even though he seemed violent, Ms. Hopkins believes that
I think Trump is saying a lot of things that Americans want to hear, like scared Americans. I think he's saying a lot of what they're concerned about, and he's addressing their concern.
So even though he has these outbursts, his followers still believe that he is the best shot for this country to be indeed great again. I'm Mr. Knowles, and this was a W.
This just in, an update on this tragic murder here at Westlake High School. Here's my co-anchor Taylor with the latest.
Breaking news update. Back at Westlake High School, Taylor Garatano from the W reporting. Sometime between 4 and 8 p.m. on Monday, May 16th, a murder occurred in the biology storeroom located in room 102, where further evidence has been discovered. The victim's identity is currently known as science teacher Mr. Raymond Zerba. At the time of the murder, several teachers were missing but have been located. In conversation with Tanya Greco, we learned that faculty are shocked and dismayed.
No, I have no idea. I'm shocked. I mean, I know he's a little tough on his students.
It has come to our attention some faculty were aware that there were disputes among faculty and staff.
I knew what happened. A colleague had informed me of the circumstances.
Who was the colleague? Do you remember?
I'm not at liberty to say.
When Zerba went missing, science teacher Skylar Smith claims to have been caring for his tabby cat, grading papers, and cleaning glassware.
Just the usual things. I'd be grading papers, I would be setting up lessons for the following day, maybe cleaning some glassware.
Science teacher Lauren Churchia had communications between Raymond Zerba and are of questionable nature unrelated to school topics.
Mr. Zerba had some gemstones that he was trying to sell. He wanted to steal one of Mr. Smith's snakes.
Did Mr. Smith ever find out that he wanted to steal a snake?
Yes, and he wasn't too happy about that.
Math teacher Brian McClintock was known to have carpooled with Raymond Zerba, and hope is that he'll have more insight into the murder.
I wrote a note to a coworker because I had a disagreement with him. When he drives, he shows up late.
Who'd you write it to?
Ray Zerba.
All science teachers share the same lab coat, which explains why a plane ticket was found in Mr. Smith's room. Stay tuned for more info. Ever wonder what it takes to be safe on the internet? Emma Schultz and Denny Wolpo here with the latest on how to be a proper digital citizen.
With the entire online community as your audience, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Keeping any embarrassing, potentially endangering, or malicious content off of your Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr is crucial.
All those tweets, likes, and Facebook comments leave a record. Make sure you know what the default privacy settings are for your social media accounts, and keep an eye on them. Sites often introduce new policies and settings that increase the visibility of your data.
When using any online service, it is important to keep your location and personal information safe. Don't post your deepest, darkest secrets unless you want a future employer, or even worse, your mother, to read it. On social media, try using an alias or a username that is not your full name to protect your privacy.
Back in 2010, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg told a live audience that if he were to create Facebook again today, user information would by default be public.
Your name, profile picture, gender, current city, networks, friends list, and all the pages you subscribe to are now publicly available information on Facebook, states Marshall Kirkpatrick, CEO of his tech startup, Littlebird.
It is important to maintain online reputations in a way that will be appealing to anyone who decides to Google search our names. Though sharing personal information may seem fun or interesting when you share it, posting too much may endanger yourself and those around you.
Remember, your digital footprint is permanent. Think before you post, because you never know when it might become public.
Until next time, I'm Emma Schultz.
And I'm Jenny Walpole.
This has been a WPSA.
Now, Kevin Julian and Danielle Walpole with some tips from the college process.
College is something that many decide to pursue after their high school years. Therefore, it is vital that high school students begin to prepare early for such a personal decision. It's helpful to start the process as early as the end of sophomore year. The college search and application process is widely dreaded because it's tedious. There are a lot of pieces to each application.
So, I like to think of both of those as two distinctly different processes. So you have the search process and the application process. The most difficult part about the search process, I think, is getting kids to start it, because it's overwhelming to say, go out and visit a bunch of colleges. And I think kids start to develop, I like this, I don't like that, and then they can narrow their thoughts on what they want in a college. As far as the application process, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think keeping students focused every step of the way is probably the most difficult piece.
Financial and academic stress will be at its peak in junior year in these years. It is an important time for development of those who wish to pursue a college education to find what they are passionate about.
This just in, there has been some progress made in the case of the murder here at Westlake High School. Out to Spencer Knowles with more.
I'm Spencer Knowles, and this is the W, with the latest update on the Zerba murder at Westlake High School. This was the call that started it all.
Hi, I need police immediately, please. What's the nature of your emergency? I found a body. I think they're dead.
On Monday, May 16th, Mr. Raymond Zerba was brutally murdered with a broomstick. There were 4 main suspects: science teachers Skylar Smith and Lauren Chia, math teacher Brian McClintock, and social studies teacher Stephanie Hopkins, that were all found to have no alibi the night of the murder. Fingerprints from Smith and Chia were found all over the crime scene because they all share the same stockroom and the same lab coats. In the lab coat located in Smith's room, a plane ticket for Raymond Zerba was found as well. In addition, a note was found in the crime scene matching McClintock's handwriting. Police have learned that Brian McClintock carpooled with Zerba, explaining the contents of the note and items found in the car. Hopkins is known to have a grudge against Zerba. Brianna Zimbardi, Mike Marin, and Mike with us from Forensics met with the press this morning.
How did you narrow down the fingerprints to one suspect when so many fingerprints were found?
It was a hard, grueling task. We had to work multiple hours to get it done, but we got it done.
Suspect.
What was the significance of the hair found at the crime scene?
The hair of the cat?
Yeah.
Alright, the cat hair at the crime scene. The murderer, Mr. Smith, he owns a tabby cat, and that was the hair found on the crime scene.
What led you to figure out the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Zerba?
We found a broomstick without the actual broom part on it, with blood on it. And Mr. Chia also said that she found it under her desk, and she had put it back into the science room.
In the end, all evidence led to Skylar Smith.
Early this morning, Mr. Skylar Smith was arrested for the murder of Raymond Zerba, and this is what he had to say moments before his incarceration.
I didn't do it. All right, I did it. He gets to wear all the good-looking ties, all the colorful ties. He gets to teach physics, I don't. He gets to run that whole science Olympiad thing, and I don't get to do any of the fun stuff. I just get to teach biology. And then finally, he came for my most precious possession, my St. Lucia racer. That was it. I had to put him down.
W. I am Spencer Knowles, and this was the W.
The Pope is usually worried about the well-being of his church, but he has a flock to consider. And with social media trends, he has picked up quite a following on Instagram. Emin Garan and I will explain.
I'm Emma Gran, and this is the W. Pope Francis has recently joined Instagram, becoming the fastest person to reach 1 million followers on the site. The Vatican believes that by having him join social networking sites such as Instagram and Twitter, he will reach out to younger generations. However, the Pope does not have a Facebook due to the amount of negativity that they believe he would face. We have interviewed some people on their opinions on this story.
I think he's doing it to start to spread the faith, to get the younger generation back involved in the church.
Sure, any kind of any kind of media encourages people to do stuff, so why not?
Even before the social media, he's one of my faves. So I think it attracts more attention to him, but I think even without the social media, he would have had the charisma and the power to attract a big crowd, because he is.
Everyday social media affects society. Even the Pope has an Instagram. This is Nicholas Calbatista, and this was a W.
Did you know my partner here, Nick, is an avid lacrosse player? I thought it'd be interesting to follow him out on the field and take a look.
I'm Taylor Garatena reporting for the W, and we have Nicholas Colbatisto here. My first question for you is, who from your past had the greatest influence on you or helped you become the person you are today?
I would have to say my father, 100%. He really shaped me into the individual I am today. He has a huge impact on my life day in and day out. Motivates me every day, makes sure I'm always on track. He really affects me in ways I can't even put into words. He asked me if I wanted to play lacrosse. At the time, I didn't really know what lacrosse was. He kind of explained it to me, and I was just excited to play, being at the age I was.
What do you love the most about lacrosse?
I love the friendship it creates, playing all year round. You meet so many new people. It's what I've been working for since I was younger. I see all my friends go off and commit, get scholarships. I would just like to just play at the next level. That'd be really great. I would love to go to a Villanova or a Princeton. Very, very good lacrosse schools, known for their lacrosse programs all across the country. And also, very good schools, very smart schools. You need to be very intelligent to get in. Those are my dream schools. I would love to get into one of those schools, and just the opportunity to learn there would be awesome for me. The field in front of me, I would love to make an impact in the football and lacrosse by being a leader. Just staying in shape in the off season, make sure everyone comes ready to play.
And my last question for you is, tell me one thing no one knows about you.
But I love to read. I love to play chess. I love things to keep my mind in check, because that's the only thing that's really going to stay with me throughout my whole life. Like when you get older, your body deteriorates, but your brain stays with you, so you gotta keep the mind in check. Just wanted to run around and hit somebody with a stick. I thought that's all it was, but as I got older, it's much more complex than that, and lacrosse is special, holds a special place in my heart, but it's really great experiences all around. Friends you have for life. Sleep is a very important aspect of our daily well-being. That's why many need to call into question their sleeping habits to benefit their health. Taylor and Emma Schultz elaborate further.
It depends. Sometimes I get around 8, sometimes I get 7, maybe even less.
But if you're a student who doesn't plan, I would imagine if you have a heavy workload, it causes you to go to sleep later, which decreases your amount of time that you're able to sleep.
It affects their learning ability because their brains are not functioning at their highest capacity, so because of lack of sleep, and so they are not capable of learning as quickly or retaining as much as they would have if they got enough sleep.
Another of Westlake's favorite social studies teacher, Mr. Anthony Paduano, is a very interesting, multi-talented man. He does a lot of cool stuff in his free time, and Spencer is here to share his story today.
The government can get into your iPhone? That's what the latest to be debated in a legal dispute between Apple and the U.S. government.
Good morning. My name is Deanna Verstaglio, and this is the W.
The FBI is in battle to hack an iPhone of the San Bernardino shooting to discover further information on the case. Investigators are looking into software that can unlock the iPhone passcode without having the exact digits.
In other cases, how do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel that they could just unlock a phone that's been locked, say for people who are getting detained or something? Like
Right.
of the sort?
I don't think they should be allowed to do it because it's a violation of our civil right to privacy. However, that right is not absolute, so if a judge granted a warrant, because it's a search.
Yeah.
It's a search.
That's true.
I think the issue is that they're not issuing them warrants.
As well as trying to get into the phone, investigators are also looking into hacking texting apps such as WhatsApp to track any terrorism conversations. The process of getting into the phone consists of making copies of the phone's memory chip. This is called NAND mirroring. This allows the agency to try as many password attempts as it needs to unlock the phone without wiping any of the phone's data. Do not want to be involved with the hacking of the phone due to legal reasons. Law enforcement is also planning on keeping the method of hacking to themselves. This way they could use this again with any further problems of the nature. As of right now, there is no further information and nothing has yet been developed.
Out to the front of Westlake, where a press conference with forensic scientists give us full details.
Hi guys, this is Westlake News. How are you guys?
Alright, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Just a few questions today. How do you go about establishing gender and height?
Of the killer or the victim?
Either or.
With the victim, we had identified the skeletons. We saw, the pelvis usually goes along. How the victim, the gender and the femur, you can measure the femur and figure out the height from the femur.
Right. And how did you narrow down the fingerprints to one suspect when so many fingerprints were found?
It was a hard, grueling task. We had to work multiple hours to get it done, but we got it done.
Good. What is involved in matching the handwriting of the note found at the crime scene?
We took samples of each suspect and we had them write like, I teach this subject or I do this, and we kind of examined what was going on in their handwriting, and we just kind of were able to exclude people or kind of piece it together.
Who wrote the note?
The note was from Mr. McClintock, and he said that it was because he was being held responsible for being late to school because he had to carpool with Mr. Zerba. And he wasn't going to have his job put on the line because of a stupid carpool.
Is the note significant to your investigation?
Not in finding the murderer, but it is significant because we were able to kind of use him as a closer held suspect.
What was the significance of the hair found at the crime scene?
The hair of the cat?
Yeah.
Alright, the cat hair at the crime scene. The murderer, Mr. Smith, he owns a tabby cat, and that was the hair found on the crime scene.
Okay, so what led you to figure out the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Zerba?
We found a broomstick without the actual broom part on it, with blood on it. And Mr. Chia also said that she found it under her desk, and she had put it back into the science room.
So what was the significance of the plane ticket and in the bank statement?
The bank statement, it connected with Mr. Chia and Mr. Zerba. While the plane ticket, that helped us lead closer to Mr. Smith and finding out he was the murderer.
What was the email from Chia to Zerba significant in making determination of the murder?
The email from Chia to Zerba was regarding the gemstones. It was significant in figuring out why, what Zerba was going through at that time.
And what did the email tell you about the crime?
The email told us that Chia had tiny involvement with Zerba at the time.
It also helped us to figure out Mr. Chia had been blackmailing Mr. Zerba at the time and was going to tell Mr. Smith about what Zerba has been doing. And Zerba was trying to steal Mr. Smith's snake at the time.
Okay. How did you figure out what was used to kill Zerba?
I could have sworn we answered this question, but it was there was a broomstick in the same closet he was killed with, and it had blood on it and multiple fingerprints on it from both Smith and Churchia.
Okay. And who killed Raymond Zerba?
In the end, all evidence led to Skylar Smith.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you are being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you?
Yeah, I understand.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Why would you ever do
Mr. Smith! All right, I did it. I did it. He gets to wear all the good-looking ties, all the colorful ties. He gets to teach physics, I don't. He gets to run that whole science Olympiad thing, and I don't get to do any of the fun stuff. I just get to teach biology. And then finally, he came for my most precious possession, my St. Lucia eraser. That was it. That was it. I had to put him down.
I stand with Smith. Mr. Smith! He did it! He had every right to do it. He was jealousy raised. Justice for Smith! That's my dad! That's my father!
I don't know. How do you feel about the murder?
Surprised.
Good to know. Good to know.
Our justice system is corrupt.
Our
This is shut up. This is a real shame. This is a damn shame. I just, my dad is dead, and I don't know if I'm gonna be okay.
Happened.
Damn shame.
I didn't think Mr. Smith was capable of this.
How can we let this happen?
This has been a 2015-2016 W production. Thanks for watching. See you in September. Bye.